watching. Hello. I'm so glad that you are here. We are talking today about 3 tips to ignite your courage. I'm going to give you my 3 best tips to ignite your courage. And while people are hopping on, Mary, good morning. So good to see you. I'm playing around a little bit with the time of these live streams. And I'll just share this. Like, I'm actually thinking 12 Eastern may be the best time for now. One of my desires recently, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but it's been more spaciousness, like more spaciousness specifically in the mornings, more spaciousness for family, personal time. And I found even the 9 a.m. live stream was feeling a little crunched in the morning with time. So anyway, I think we're going to play with a 12 o'clock Eastern live stream time. Let me know in the comments, like, does that actually work better for you? I feel like more people are online at that time, but I want to just take a moment and welcome everyone who's joining live. As a reminder, if you're joining on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, pop me a comment. That lets me know that you are here. But we're talking today about these 3 tips to ignite your courage. And I'm going to share some stories. I'm going to share some major mindset shifts that have been pretty transformational in my own life. And I want to know too in the comments, like, what are you bumping up against when it comes to taking courageous action? What are you bumping up against when it comes to mindset around, doing the thing and going for what you want? Because the thing that I am so inspired by continuously by the members of this community is how you go for what you want and how you make things happen. And I find this so often. It's like, I was talking about this on a group call last week. And I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a pattern, and a very cool pattern, where I find that members of our community often come in with like something that's been on their heart for a while. Obviously, a lot of the brand is about making more money, growing your sales. And so that's part of why they come in. But there's also like this thing that's been on their heart for some time that they want to create, that they want to launch, that they want to do, that they want to receive. And it requires taking bold action, and it requires courage to go for it. But there's a shift that I see happening with the members of our community when they, do whatever with us, like join a program, we start working together, and it's like they go for what they want, and they do have courage, and it takes courage to do that too. And they have profound changes in their life because of that. But so I wanted to come on and share, like, and let me know too, for those of you who are here live, like, is there something that is feeling scary for you right now? Is there something that's feeling intimidating? Is there something that's feeling bigger than you, or feeling like it's going to take a lot of courage for you to create and for you to launch? Let me know. And I want to help you through it in the comments as much as possible. I'll be happy to coach you through it as much as I can. But I even think back to a client I was working with last week, a private client of mine, and we were in an intensive, and she's been working on something with a partner where she hasn't been getting paid. She's only been getting paid profit sharing from it, and she hadn't been getting paid really what she could have been making off of this. And we talked about it, and I was like, what do you actually want to make? And she was like, I feel like I should get paid $10,000 a month for this. And we talked through it, and I challenged her to go negotiate that deal last week. And I got a message from her on, I think, Friday. She was like, I did it. I negotiated it. She just signed a 6-figure contract, like just like that. And it took courage, but knowing her, I know I was so inspired by that story. There's so many stories of women in the community and men in the community who are doing this. By the way, shout out to, I see Mary is live, Elizabeth, Christina, hello, Jen, hello. All of you are doing this, right? And have inspiring stories, but there's some specific mindset shifts and tools we can use to create and cultivate courage in our actions. And so the first tip to ignite your courage is, I want you to, thank you so much for the hearts. This really hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. I was listening to a training by, y'all know I love my Joe Dispenza. So it was Dr. Joe Dispenza, a training on abundance. I was listening to a training from him on abundance. I give a quick side note after this, which is something I'm so excited about. But he said, perfectionism is scarcity mindset. Perfectionism is scarcity mindset. And I thought, oh my gosh, like how true is that? And yet, how often does that come up in our lives that we're not willing to take risks? We're not willing to put everything on the line because it's like, what if I mess it up? And let me know in the comments if you can relate to that. Maybe that's showing up for you right now. But I thought that is so true, because if you have the belief that if I do this thing and it fails or it doesn't work out, and there's a subconscious kind of end to that belief, which is there won't be another opportunity, right? Like if I mess this all up, there won't be another opportunity. That's scarcity mindset. And how often do we hold back from taking the risk or doing the thing we want to do or making the investment or launching the program because there's some sort of fear that's underlying our beliefs and our mindset around, if I mess this up, this is it for me. Can you relate to that? Like I can relate to that. And I was talking with my husband about this last night, and we were like, where does this come from that this is so pervasive in our society and in our culture? And I mean, it's everywhere if you think about it, all the way. This isn't meant to be a judgment on the school system, but it's like all the way to the school system and how we're taught growing up. Like it's literally, it's like, don't fail, like don't make a mistake. And you get punished in certain ways, depending on how you're schooled, like for making mistakes. And so this conditioning is pervasive in our society, but I want to invite you as an adult to decide to drop it and to decide that you make, hey, Charity, so good to see you, to decide that you make your own rules. And that if there's any amount of perfectionism and like, if I mess this up, there's not another chance for me going on, that is scarcity mindset. And that's not your truth. So I want to invite you to create another rule for yourself. And this is what truly successful, abundant people do, which is that they're willing to take risks on themselves. They're willing to go for it. They're willing to put it all on the line because they know that there's no failure. There's truly no failure. I had a phenomenal interview and I'm so excited to share the interview with you. I interviewed, some of you know, Tony Jones. I interviewed her for the podcast last week and it was such a powerful conversation. And one of the things that she shared, which I was just like, gosh, this is such a good mindset perspective. She was like, there's literally like, you can't fail. You cannot fail. Either you'll get what you wanted to get from it, or you'll learn something that's going to help you get to your next level. So to ignite your courage, what if you thought about it differently? And what if you realize that you can't fail, and that there is opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for you to come in and to achieve your greatness in this life. Like there's truly unlimited opportunities. But if you're holding back from making an investment, if you're holding back from stretching yourself and going for it because there's a fear of what if I mess up and what if I don't what if I don't succeed, that is scarcity mindset. So that is your first thing, is to remember that. And we, in all ways in our lives, we want to lean into abundance. Abundance is your truth. Abundance is the natural order of the world. Abundance is your birthright. And abundance means an abundance of opportunities. And to realize that if you go for something and it happens differently than how you thought, guess what? It was leading you to where you want to go. That's it. But when we have that desire for expansion, when we have that desire for something bigger and we hold ourselves back because we're afraid we're going to mess it up, that is pure scarcity thinking. And that is not your truth, my friend. So I want to invite you to drop that today. The second is, you have to know there is, let me come back to what I was going to say before, and then I'm going to come into the second. So riffing off of Dr. Joe, I just wanted to give a plug. Tomorrow on the podcast, I have one of his lead researchers on, and she talks about the science of abundance, and it's so good. So listen, it's She Sells Radio. It drops tomorrow on the podcast, and give me a heart or give me like a yes, I'm excited in the comments if you're here live, because I know many of y'all who are here live, and I know I know you're excited, or at least I would be if I were you. I'm very excited. I'm going to go back and re-listen. It was an awesome conversation. Okay, number 2. Second tip to ignite your courage. There is pretty much an initiation when you decide that, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Mary. When you decide that you're going to go for the thing and you're going to have the thing and you're going to have the life and create that life for yourself that you want, there is an initiation. And it is not to punish you. It is not to, it's not that you're not meant to have it. It's transforming you into the person who has that thing that you want. And so you have to know that there's always going to be a fear around taking the action that's going to really unlock your next level. You have to step through that fear. The only way you're going to get it, the only way you're going to get to that next level is to step through that fear. So we can start to use it as an indicator that we're on the right track, right? Ooh, this feels intimidating. This feels scary. This feels stretchy, right? What if you started using that as your indicator? Thank you so much for the hearts. What if you started using that as your indicator that that's the very thing you need to do? And I don't remember who, I think it may have been Heather Monahan, but it was like, learn to look at fear as a green light. That means go. And if we can learn to look at it that way, there's a great quote. It's Joseph Campbell. He says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And I've learned to use that in my life as a tool. And we can learn to use fear as a tool. And we always know that fear is a lie, right? But we have to, it doesn't mean we're not going to feel it. And it doesn't mean that if we're not conscious of what it really is, we won't go back and use it to shrink and not take the step. But if you can use it as an indicator that this is literally the thing unlocking my next level, then we can take that action with more confidence and with more, I would say, excitement and eagerness for what's to come on the other side. And I bet if you, let me know in the comments, like, if you just think back on your life and you think back on the things that you did that were scary, is it not true that every single thing that felt scary that you did anyway proved to have a blessing in it for you, proved to take you to the next level, proved to be the very thing that set your life on the trajectory that you are so grateful it's on today? And if I don't want you to take anything I say for just on faith or for, I mean, do if you want, but like, look back at your life, look at evidence in your life. And then I want you to also look at, was there any time where I shrank back and where I didn't go for it and I let fear stop me, where I actually got a really good result? Maybe you stayed where you were. Maybe you felt safe. But if safety is your goal in life, you're not going to have a life that you necessarily are so like looking back on and I don't want to say proud of. That's not it. But like, that's not why you're here. You're not here for safety. You're here for expansion. Does that make sense? Angel on LinkedIn is saying fear is energy. We need to shift it. Yeah, exactly. It's energy. And that's a great point. We can use tools to help shift it and transmute it. I love how you put that. Michelle is saying, so true. Leaning into fear is how I've seen the biggest expansion. Yes. So if we learn to look at it as this is an indicator that I'm on the right track, and what would it look like to move through this? And we also look at the fearful thoughts. We got to scrutinize them and disprove them because they're never true, but they will run your life if you let them and if you don't stop and examine them. But we have to look at them and say, is this really true? Is this really true? And it never is. So learn to look at it that way and remember, the cave you feared to enter holds the treasure you seek. I remember when we made the decision to move last September, and we were very comfortable. We had a beautiful home. The mortgage was really easy to pay every month. And it was like, there was a lot that was really great about where we were. But I felt this very strong nudge that it was time for us to move. And it didn't make a lot of logical sense at all. And the place that I ended up wanting us to move was 3 times what we were paying before in our mortgage. And it's smaller. We're living in a building now in a beautiful penthouse apartment. Like, it's gorgeous space, but it's smaller. It's a lot more. It didn't make a ton of sense. And I felt some fear around it. Like, ooh, like that. Can I do that payment every month? Can I, like, how's that going to work for us? But it was such a strong nudge, and I followed it. And I am so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. We love where we live. We've gotten a lot closer as a family because we're just closer physically, proximity wise. We've grown so much in a really short amount of time. And I know you've got examples of that in your own life too, right? Where you took action in spite of the fear, and it literally was the best thing you could have done. So that's the second tip to ignite your courage. And then the third, and I think this is a Kelly Roach original, but it's like remembering your mortality. Remembering your mortality. If you're looking to unlock some courage in your life, thank you, Jen. Oh, you're saying your space is beautiful. Yeah, you were here the other day, right? And baseball, yes. If you're looking to unlock some courage in your life, remember your mortality. It's not meant to be a downer. It's not meant to be like any of that. But what would you do if you remembered you were going to die someday? What choice would you make? How much would you bet on yourself? And that's, like I said, I think this is Kelly who positioned it this way. And this is how she built and scaled an 8-figure business, is remembering and making every choice through the lens of remembering she's going to die someday. And like, just think about that. How much more courage would that unlock in you? What bigger risks would you take on yourself? Because you're the one who's got to bet on yourself, nobody else. If you're waiting for somebody else to do it, you're going to be waiting a long time. You got to bet on yourself first. But if you remembered that and you looked at it from the perspective of, at the end of my life, what would I be proud I had done? Like, what would I be glad I had done? And always act on that. You will never be disappointed. You will always be led in the right direction when we act that way. So just quick recap on the 3. And if you've got questions on this, pop them in the comments, because I'm here to, coach you through it before we wrap today. But 3 tips to ignite your courage. Number 1, perfectionism is scarcity mindset. Number 2, know, in the words of Joseph Campbell, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The thing that you're afraid of is the very thing that will unlock your next level. So we have to lean in to the fear and use it as a green light instead of as a red light. Number 3, remember your mortality. And how would you make a decision if you remembered you're not going to be here forever? What would you do? How much more bold action would you take in light of that? So I want to invite you, comments in as I'm wrapping up here. If you have a question or a comment, pop them in now. While you are doing that, I want to invite you. We've got something really cool going on starting this Thursday. It's a 3-workshop series. We've never done this before. This is new content I've never taught before. It's open to the public, elisearcher.com/bundle. And it's me and my amazing integrator, Angela. We're co-teaching this. We're going to be teaching 3 different workshop series over the next month. On this Thursday, I'm teaching a vision boarding workshop because I had so many questions from the She Sells community on how I do my vision board, because it's literally like something goes on the board and it happens, and it's powerful and it's amazing. And it's like there's a certain technique and a method to doing this in a way that really creates results. So that's on Thursday. Next month, which is in like a week, sometime early March, my integrator Angela is teaching a more systems-oriented workshop. So time management systems for productivity, for scaling to 6 or 7 figures, she's so phenomenal. And then the end of March, I'm teaching a money manifesting masterclass, which is like my favorite thing to talk about. And I'm so excited for it. So elisearcher.com/bundle if you want to get in on that and join us this Thursday. to kick off. It's going to be so good. Let me see. Angel saying, fear, what's the worst that can happen? Some fears never materialize outside our thoughts. Isn't that the truth, my friend? And I love that are you a mindset coach? Let me know, because this is so good. What you're putting in here is so good. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, follow the thread all the way through, because fear will, if we don't stop and examine it, thank you for the hearts, Rita. Yeah, I'm so excited too. If we don't stop and examine the fear, it's always a lie. It's always a lie. But if we don't stop and examine it and say, what would be the worst thing that happened? And realize, if worst came to worst, like, you can live with it. And usually your brain is making up some sort of BS of what's not even gonna, like, it's way outside the realm of what would actually happen. So we have to examine it and question it, right? And then, like, could I live with that? Yes. Okay. Would I be okay? Would I have a roof over my head? Would I have food to eat? Yeah. So then we move forward, and then shifting it and looking at what's the best that can happen. That's my favorite way to do it. So I love that you shared that. Michelle saying, can't wait for the workshop series. I can't either. It's going to be I'm so excited to teach this. Like I said, this is all new content. It's going to be so good. So elisearcher.com/bundle if you want to get registered for that. That's it, my friend. It was so good to see so many of you live today. Rita saying, of all the fears I've had in my life, very few have come through. Yeah, right? And Rita, I bet with the ones that did, I bet they in some way, shape, or form molded you into the incredibly powerful woman you are today, and expanded your capacity to receive more joy, more allowing all of that. So it's like, it's all always working for us. And 99% of the time, what we're thinking isn't, well, it's never true when it's a fear, right? It's never true. So, so powerful, so powerful. All right, my friends, it was so good to spend time with you today. I think we're going to keep this 12 o'clock Eastern on Monday's time. It just feels, again, like I said, I'm wanting some more space in my mornings. And so I want to encourage you to do that too. Look at this just feels like the theme right now for me, at least. And so I'm assuming it is maybe for more than one person. Where are you needing more space? Where are you needing more expansiveness in your life? And how can you create that? Whether it's giving yourself a little extra time in the mornings. Do you need to shift some meetings around? Do you need to, this is something else Tony said on the podcast last week that was so great. She was like, I am worth canceling a day for. If I need to cancel a day and just be with me and have some space, I am worth that. So you are worth it. You're worth whatever you need for yourself, for your energy. So whether that's space, whether it's courage, you're worth it, my friend. All right. So good to see everyone. Wishing you a beautiful Monday. As always, DM me if I can be supportive to you, to your sales team. And I am so grateful for you. All right. Lots of love. Bye-bye.